Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and Kyle.
Yes, sir.
16 miles wide and 574 feet between the France-Switzerland border near Geneva rests the Large Hadron Collider.
Yes.
So built by the European Organization for Nuclear Research between 1998 and 2008 at a cost of nearly $4.5 billion. Did you know? Okay, so what does this thing do, right? So particles move fast, they collide. It'll help us to understand the origin of mass, dark matter, dark energy. Why is there more matter than antimatter in the universe? Did this $4.5 billion project answer all those questions? A little bit. I did not know this. I just find this completely interesting. It's one of the world's largest machines. It's one of the largest machines ever built, right? I mean, it's 16 miles wide.
Yeah.
They are proposing, there has been talk about proposing a 62-mile wide version.
Whoa.
That will cost $25 billion. Will that get us the answers? I don't know. Here's what they got to do. Talk to Tony Stark, because he can make one in his basement.
That's
and it
right.
Seems like it's going to work fine.
That's Tony Stark is all about consolidation. He's about making big things smaller.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Oh, boy.
When you need it teeny, call Stark.
Well, I mean, he might disagree on a few things, but all right, sure.
Because here we are at minute 85 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, director Jon Favreau. And we are in hardware mode.
Construction montage.
That's right. We're still in the montage with the rock music. Shout out to John Debney, doing a heck of a job there. So we said, I misspoke. I thought that the crates came in 84, but actually come in 85. No, right. So this is where we see the actual Project Pegasus logo is on the side. So as he's opening these and bringing them out, we're seeing these really large, heavy conduits. And so, so basically it's a collider, but in microcosm. So a small thing. But the thing that's interesting is they already had these. Like, basically, they're like, he calls up and says, oh, this is what I need. And they do same day delivery of atom smashing machines, directly to Tony Stark. Man, it must be nice to be rich.
Yeah. Well, and it's important. I mean, this is something. This is critical.
It's from S.H.I.E.L.D. Obviously, S.H.I.E.L.D. is the one behind all this stuff. And so then, as he's continuing on, then lifting these heavy things and getting them together, we can see sort of an arc is starting to form. And then we see it's the return of Agent Coulson. Yes. So down the stairs comes Agent Coulson to see what's going on. It was. Anyway, so Agent Coulson comes in, not like, hey, Tony, how's it going? The first thing he says is, I heard you broke the perimeter. We told you were supposed to stay here and do this thing. And Tony says, yeah, that was 3 years ago. Where have you been? Which it was later. It was a day ago. But Agent Coulson, once again, master of deadpan, says, I was doing some stuff.
I love
that's so great.
Okay, and I really just love that exchange because Coulson comes in and gets right to it. Disdain, it's just complete disdain for Tony as a human being. And then I do love Tony's reaction of the whole, well, that was 3 years ago, because for him, in his mind, that seems like forever ago, right? Because he's packed a lot in the last 12 hours. But that answer of, I was doing some stuff.
I am a secret agent for a secret organization. I'm not going to tell you what I was doing.
So dismissive. I mean, can you imagine at any job, you're late for something and it's hey, what were you doing? I was doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And then you just keep walking.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. Only Clark Gregg can deliver a line like that. So then Tony continues on and says, yeah, well, me too, and it worked. Hey, I'm playing for the home team, Coulson, you and all your fabulous furry freak brothers. Which I was like, what the heck is that? So I had to I had to look that up. So Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers were a comic. It was actually a comic book, an underground comic from the 60s. Or actually, I'm sorry, from the 70s.
70s,
Yeah, it was basically I would say this not to offend any fans, but I'd say it's like a comic book version of Cheech and Chong, because it was mostly about 3 guys trying to score weed.
Yeah. Pretty much.
There's a lot more to it than I know.
No, but I mean,
and it's really, that's sort of like the thumbnail version of it. So you had Freewheelin' Franklin Freak, Phineas T. Freak, and Fat Freddy Freakowski. And why does he make this reference? We have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that has to do with S.H.I.E.L.D.
We haven't found any. I mean, we've done decent research. There's nothing in the commentary. There's nothing. What's the deal? Where did this get pulled from, other than the fact that it is a comic book?
All I can think of is it's Robert Downey Jr. just being Robert Downey Jr. And this just occurred to him in the moment. And everybody went, okay.
Wait, and you gotta love the fact that they use. Okay, so I would assume there's a couple different versions of this scene, right? Where he says maybe a few different things. It's amazing to me that the editors chose to include this, because this is a part of dialogue that goes by. If you're in the theater the first time you're hearing this, you're just going, wait, what did he say?
Yeah. You're just sort of like, haha, that's a funny collection of words.
Right? No, I wonder, there's got to be a deep, someday we'll find it, I'm sure. There's got to be a deeper, somebody had to know something, or else Robert Downey Jr. has a very peculiar collection of 70s comic books.
I would imagine that's the case. And I guess if you want to know more about the Fabulous Freak Brothers, they actually put out an animated series last year in the midst of all the bizarre things going on in the world. It might have gotten a little bit overlooked, but it's out there. I think it's called, I believe it comes out. They come out Freak. Oh, it's the Freak.
Yeah, it's just
Brothers.
the Freak Brothers. The Freak Brothers, right?
So you can do your searching for that and check it out and see if you can figure out what the connection is, because we still don't know. So Tony Stark continues on. He says, "Now, are you gonna let me work or break my balls?" So meanwhile, Tony continued to work. He's laying out all of these things, and he has an actual industrial level. This is a serious workman level that he's putting on, making, and he notices at this juncture, and we see the arc that he has so far is propped up on anything he could find. So he has one of his motorcycles there with books stacked on top of it. He's got the crates, he's got tables, whatever he can get to do there, and so. We see we see Agent Coulson walk over to one of the boxes, which is opened up. And no, this is one of the boxes from Project Pegasus, or this not the original box that they gave him from his dad, right?
Well, no, this is not the original box from his dad, because this is a full one of the big wooden crates. But not clear that all these boxes are Project Pegasus. But true. I mean, yeah,
the only one that we saw labeled was that. So
assumptions,
it's kind of
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's an inference, and he pulls out what looks like a very familiar S.H.I.E.L.D., at least a prototype version of it. It seems to be a scale, a model of what Captain America's S.H.I.E.L.D. would eventually look like.
Right.
And so Coulson knows instantly what it is. He goes, pulls it out and goes, "What's this doing here?" Not "what is this?" but "what's this doing here?" And Tony looks over and says, "That's it. Bring that to me." And Coulson says, "You know what this is? This is?" Which is weird to me as a question, because we know that everyone knew who Captain America was.
Yeah, we know who Captain America was, right?
Everyone had the comics. He was on the newsreels. You can still watch the stuff. He was a real human being who carried the shield.
Is that a line? Is that put in there just for really hitting the audience members over the head with, do you see what this is? I wonder if that's why that's kind of written that way.
And then Tony says, "That's exactly what I need to make this work." And he takes it from him.
And that's the minute. And by the way, that's where the minute ends.
That's really where the minute ends. We don't know why it is that he wants this thing. So what's going on here? So in the first Iron Man movie, there's a scene very similar to this where Tony Stark is working. And in the background, you can see a version of Captain America's S.H.I.E.L.D. Why? Because people at ILM thought it would be really funny. So they stuck this little image in the background, like it's on his workbench, kind of thing, and eagle-eyed fans, and those weirdos who would do a movie minute-by-minute podcast on them noticed this thing and make a big deal of it. And so they decided for this one they wanted to have an actual physical prop, so they decided to make a prototype thing now. Here we are in 2020, looking back at the thing and realizing that this makes no sense at all.
Oh, none. Zero.
Because when we see the S.H.I.E.L.D. for the first time in Captain America, the First Avenger, it's vibranium. So the fact that they even were able to etch a star and circles on it is amazing, because what could they possibly have used in 1940 to etch vibranium?
Right.
But it was like that, and they just painted it, and you see that. But what the hell is this thing? Because they wouldn't have needed to do any prototyping, because Howard Stark didn't make the shield. He just like carved the thing. Like we don't really. I'm using my own fan theory and stuff that he got the vibranium from Wakanda, but it was already in like a disc shape, so it wouldn't have needed to have this like levels of two, because it's one piece of metal.
Yeah, I don't see, like, okay, it's a cool prop.
Yeah,
but I always just thought Captain America's shield was just a solid piece of vibranium. Like I didn't know it had a skeleton or an infrastructure under it, or like components. Like I didn't.
Yeah, like it was like pieced together in levels or something like that. So yeah, I have no idea what this thing is supposed to be. Okay, so let's fan theory this. All right, so when Captain America first shows up, he has a basic like metal shield, like a badge shaped shield, like a traditional shield shaped shield, not a round one. So it carries that for a while, it gets damaged, and then Howard Stark says, "Oh, how about this? It's made of vibranium," and they gives it to him. In the interim, Howard was thinking of improvements to the shield and coming up with designs and ideas, and this is one of those designs. Huh?
Oh, maybe that, yeah.
Does that solve our problem?
It's that, or it's this. Hey, we'd like to plant the seed that Coulson is a Captain America fanboy.
True.
And we'd like to do it in a way that isn't completely obvious and silly. So how about we pretend that there's a prototype shield that's like semi-deconstructed, and he shows a hint of what a fanboy he is. End scene.
Yeah. This will not be the last time that Coulson will hold a Captain America shield.
Right? I mean, I think maybe that's it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's right. I mean, obviously, I know that in 2010, when they had made, 1.5 Marvel films.
Right.
Because obviously Incredible Hulk was still in production when this was in production. That they just put it in as an homage thing. I'm just trying to figure out what the way to justify this, because now it makes no sense in the continuity that we know.
Right.
That there would be anything like this. I don't know. Yeah. So this, it will not even be not be the last time that we'll see Coulson in holding a shield, and not even one that's very similar to Captain America's, but not Captain America's shield. So
now, isn't it interesting though that so when this movie, Captain America: First Avenger, that's in production around the time. No, not yet. So not at the time this movie's released.
No, they got delayed a bunch of stuff. So they're still like planning it at this stage.
But it's interesting because you would think that. Well, you'd think that this prop was designed specifically with the idea that it would appear in the Captain America movie,
right?
And it does not.
It does not.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it's just. I get a funny streak. I'm just trying to
No.
How we can fit into what we know now.
Okay, so is it also that now we're way down inside the roots of the weeds,
right?
Is this also because, hey, we're gonna have this funny thing with Tony, kind of, being sacrilegious to the Captain America shield, right? Yeah. Spoiler, because we don't know what's gonna happen. That next minute, you got to tune in. Let's just say he
reverent is. That's the spoiler.
Right? Okay. Right. Not right. He's going to be irreverent to it, but we can't actually use the shield. So why don't we make like an almost shield? I mean, really though, maybe that is part of it. Like.
True.
It's got to be something else, because it can't be the actual thing, but close enough. And that's where you get this weird, out of consistent prop that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean that's and I say that's where our minute comes to an end. So we don't even know what he's going to do with this prototype shield thing.
Right.
So we won't find that out until.
But he needs it. He needs it. It's necessary.
He does.
It's exactly
very
what he
necessary. But we won't find out what he's going to use it for until minute 86. So I mean, if that's not a cliffhanger, folks, I don't know what is. Like you have to keep subscribed for that.
I mean, we would like you to. Yes, this is true.
Well, because you got to find out, like, what's he going to do with it? Will it be incorporated into the suit? I mean,
Does he have some cheese that he has
Does
to
anyone
grate?
remember that there's an Iron Man in this movie?
And a villain. Did you know that there's a villain?
Apparently there's a villain too. I'm told in this talky, drivey, buildy movie that there actually are apparently superheroes sometimes.
And admit it, you do forget that at this point.
God, it's been a long time.
But it's good. The ending's going to be really good. Don't worry.
Yeah, they're going to sort of stick at the ending. And there also is, and just before we move on and wrap up, there is also a deleted scene that fits sort of roughly in this area, but it's an expanded version of him figuring out how to do figuring out what the model represented. So there's like a longer 5-minute version of him looking at the model and scanning it and looking at pieces of it and stuff too. It's not particularly good. You can find it on, I believe it's on YouTube, but I believe it's on Disney Plus and on the Blu-ray as well. It's and check it out. I mean, like I say, it's basically takes longer for Tony Stark to figure all this stuff out than it did in the actual theatrical cut of the movie, but just worth mentioning, by the way, and also to let you know that we did know that existed, just not really worth more than a couple of seconds discussion. But if you have a couple seconds to yourself, why not leave us a review? Whatever podcatcher you like. If you're Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, if they're still in business, because I heard they're having some problems. By the time you read this, they might be gone. Who knows? Wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, leave a review for us. It helps us know that you're out there and listening, which we at this point only know in theory. And also lets other people know that you like the show, and so maybe they would like it too. Because what better thing is there among geeks than to share the things that we like?
Exactly.
So make sure to be back here for minute 86 when we find out what's going on. The tense tete-a-tete between Coulson and Stark will continue, and you do not want to miss it. Enough said.
Bye.